Right now at 6, Bay Area activists keep a close eye on the violent encounters with immigration agents in Minnesota.
Sooner or later, they're going to come back to the Bay Area, and we need to be ready.
We'll break down a state bill that just advanced, aiming to protect the rights of protesters. Plus,
I can see it. Oh my God.
A mountain lion captured after roaming the streets in San Francisco. We'll hear from a researcher who encountered this same cat before. And controversy over a bridge removal plan that would mitigate flood risk by pushing problems down the road.
It was not an easy decision for us.
And later, some South Bay ag students facing tough choices after a change in the calendar could make it harder to sell their livestock at the county fair.
I'm going to be showing with this $5,000+ animal that I paid for.
This is CBS News Bay Area with Juliette Goodrich.
Hi there, I'm Sarah Donchi. Juliette has the night off tonight. State lawmakers are pushing to protect Californians from what they say are examples of brutal and inhumane overreach by federal immigration agents. Today, the state Senate passed what's being called the No Kings Act, a direct response to the violent immigration arrests and raids that we have seen across the country under the second Trump administration. The concerns have only grown after 2 deadly shootings by federal agents in Minnesota. Now, this bill is sponsored by San Francisco's Scott Wiener, and it would allow Californians to take federal officers to court.
We're going to treat all law enforcement the same on an equal and level field, whether you're local, state, or federal. It doesn't matter. If you violate the Constitution, you need to be accountable.
The bill passed on a party line vote with all 10 Republican senators opposing it. Our Lauren Toms looks at the legislation's potential impact.
Deforestation! Shut it down! Protests like this one from last summer are scenes Peter Hosey is intimately familiar with. He's an organizer for Indivisible SF, focused on speaking up and keeping demonstrations peaceful.
There's definitely more people getting involved. I think because people have finally started to realize that we can't just wait this out.
Peter says so far they've been lucky. Despite heightened immigration enforcement activity in the Bay Area and their efforts to speak out against it, the group hasn't had direct confrontations with federal agents. But he believes that day could still come.
We're currently looking toward Minneapolis and thinking, okay, sooner or later they're going to come back to the Bay Area, and we need to be ready.
The question of what happens when federal agents show up and who is accountable if something goes wrong is at the heart of a newly passed California law that would allow civilians to sue federal officers if their constitutional rights are violated. If signed by the governor, California would be the first state in the nation to carve out a clear pathway for civilians to take federal officers to court.
But right now, there really is not even a pathway to pursue accountability against federal actors for violating your constitutional rights in a civil context.
Christine Soto DeBerry is the executive director of Prosecutors Alliance. She says recent Supreme Court decisions have narrowed what's known as Bivens, that once served as the primary way to sue federal officers for constitutional violations. So much so that many cases never make it to court.
And so what this will do is open that very first door to residents and civilians of this community, say, you have a right to step into the courthouse and pursue meaningful accountability for your rights being violated.
Supporters say the bill is a response to clashes seen over the past year with federal law enforcement, such as this tense face-off between federal agents and demonstrators outside Concord's immigration court. The No Kings Act has received some opposition from police organizations, including the Los Angeles Airport Police, which warned the bill would unleash, quote, a torrent of new civil liability for officers. But the Peace Officers Research Association of California tells us they're in favor of putting all public officers on equal footing. Their president telling us in a statement, quote, PORAC supports closing genuine gaps in constitutional accountability, but we must do so in a way that treats all public employees fairly. The proposed amendments achieve that balance. Peter says even with this legislation, more needs to be done to protect demonstrators before harm is done.
It's going to be one measure of accountability that still ultimately requires somebody to get hurt, survive, and then file a lawsuit. And until those things change, none of us are safe.
Similar legislation is being considered in New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Maine. Illinois already passed a more narrow version that applies in and around courthouses. Happening right now, Native American protesters in Oakland are marching toward Target and Home Depot in Emeryville. We have a look for you now. This is live as we are speaking. The protesters claim that the stores cooperate with ICE. Organizers of today's protest say this march is their way to try and stand in solidarity with people in Minnesota.
We know people are at their homes. I think a lot of folks had a visceral effect in their bodies from witnessing what happened, and they're trying to figure out, how can I get involved? Well, we're here to say that we have people power. We're exercising our economic power.
Testing.
So obviously a big crowd out there tonight with signs, one of them saying melt ice right now and anti-ice messages. We did reach out, by the way, to Home Depot and Target. Both stores sent a statement saying that they are not coordinating or cooperating with ICE. Home Depot said it cannot legally interfere with immigration enforcement in its parking lots. Alameda County is also showing support for immigrant communities. Dozens of nurses marched from their union headquarters to the Board of Supervisors meeting today, holding signs calling to abolish ICE. It's a show of support for a county proposal to create ICE-free zones. The Board of Supervisors is expected to vote at some point tonight on that measure, and if it passes, federal immigration agencies would be barred from operating on county-owned property, including parking garages and vacant lots. Supervisors say the deadly shootings in Minneapolis make the proposal even more urgent. Similar measures were recently approved in Santa Clara County and in the city of San Jose. We did just get some new information on a developing story out of Oakland. San Francisco police say one of their officers was struck and hurt while trying to stop a wanted suspect in the city of Oakland. After the officer was hit, Oakland police started chasing the suspect. Our chopper was over the pursuit earlier this afternoon. It started on 47th Street, and you could see the black car was weaving on city streets before merging onto 580. The chase ended on 36 and Webster. Oakland police took the suspect into custody after they took off on foot, and then they say tried to carjack another vehicle. San Francisco police say the officer who was hit is expected to be okay. All right, now to a story that has captivated not just the Bay Area, but people all over the country today. A young male mountain lion has been captured after causing quite a commotion in San Francisco's Pacific Heights neighborhood. This video was taken last night by a woman named Roxanne. She says the mountain lion was on the steps of her apartment building as she got home around 3 in the morning and just staring at her. You can imagine what that felt like to see that at your house. A team of fire officials, police, San Francisco Zoo workers, and wildlife researchers were all there this morning to corner and catch the mountain lion near a building on California and Octavia. Someone from the zoo had to hit it with multiple tranquilizer darts, and then they were finally able to capture him and remove him. But when they were up close, they noticed that he had a tag in his ear. Check this out. These are all of the areas that mountain lions have been previously spotted. The Santa Cruz Puma Project says that this mountain lion was in a Saratoga backyard last September. He was caught and released near the Lexington Reservoir at the time.
For the most part, he's being pushed around by other males who kind of have these home ranges that aren't letting him go in there. Really, he doesn't have much choice about where he's going.
You got to feel bad for the little buddy. He's expected to be released back into the wild, though, this time with a GPS tracker. A controversial plan to demolish a bridge in the town of San Anselmo may be coming to an end. The bridge sits on a portion of the San Anselmo Creek that cuts right through the heart of downtown. During the pandemic, it turned into an outdoor plaza. The federal government now says unless homeowners downstream agree to it, the removal of the bridge cannot go forward. John Ramos spoke to residents today who say they have a good reason for opposing it.
This bridge over San Anselmo Creek has been living under a death sentence thanks to a regional flood control project. But now, just like a jury, 12 homeowners will decide whether or not the bridge can live on, which may determine the fate of the project itself. Downtown San Anselmo sits above San Anselmo Creek, but on New Year's Eve 2005, the creek was above the downtown. The deluge prompted Marin County to establish a flood control district to create a solution to future flooding. It focused on a controversial plan to remove this bridge, which is said to restrict the natural flow of the creek.
This has been a restriction since 1945 when it was built. The problem is taking it out does very little and causes harm to people downstream. They need to be treated fairly. They're getting a voice now.
Those people downstream are a group of 12 homeowners on Sir Francis Drake Boulevard whose yards back up to the creek and would face increased flooding with the removal of the bridge. Now, after years of fighting over the plan, FEMA has ruled that the demolition cannot go forward without the unanimous consent of those homeowners.
I'd put every dollar I have on the fact that that's not happening.
Philip Chigos owns commercial properties in downtown that would be harmed during another huge flood, but he's also a pragmatist and says it's time for the county to stop pretending that they can control the forces of nature.
The way weather patterns are going, we're never going to be able to control water. Water goes where water wants to go. So, my opinion is let the water go where it's going to go, and then after it recedes and leaves, we clean up and we move on.
What really angers the opponents are the tens of millions of dollars that have been spent studying the project for 20 years, with nothing to show for it.
If we had taken all of the money that had been spent and put it into a fund, generated interest on it, in preparation for one day when it does flood, being able to help all the businesses and property owners to remediate after the flood, we could have taken care of it for the next hundreds of years.
The idea of fixing floods is over in San Anselmo in terms of fighting Mother Nature.
The community is so angry that they recently voted to withdraw from the flood control district, which is now so broke that the project itself is probably dead. But there is one silver lining for San Anselmo. A plaza that sits atop the bridge had become a popular gathering spot during the pandemic. It closed for the demolition, but now, if the bridge remains, residents hope that it can be revived.
Do you think this could be a plaza again?
Absolutely. I look forward to the first party on top of it.
FEMA reportedly issued its edict in November, but the county didn't announce it until late last week. We requested comment from Marin County today, but we haven't gotten a response yet. Still ahead here at 6 o'clock, why some South Bay agriculture students may have to choose between school and selling the livestock that they have worked so hard to raise. Plus, how the Trump administration wants to take over the wildfire rebuilding efforts in SoCal. And it is something we have not seen in a long time. But there is a bit of rain heading our way. Paul is tracking the timing and how much you can expect where you live. The Santa Clara County Fair is a summer staple down in the South Bay, but a major change to the calendar is creating some new problems for hundreds of students who rely on the fair to show and sell their livestock. Led Ramirez shows us how that shift is affecting students at a very important moment in their lives.
18-year-old Izzy Toledo is ending her day the same way she has all winter, feeding oats and hay to her 9-month-old heifer, Bluebell. To Izzy, Bluebell is not only a deeply cared-for animal, she's a sizable investment and possibly a ticket to college.
I want to say I'm going on like $4,000. Wow. Yeah. I also got a loan for it.
Izzy is a senior in Westmont High School's Future Farmers of America program. At the Campbell FFA property, she and other students practice how to show their animals, walking them through the corral, learning posture, control, and confidence. Izzy's plan is to show and sell Bluebell at this year's Santa Clara County Fair and use the profits to help pay for college. She's eyeing pre-vet programs at UC Davis and Cal Poly. But a big change in this year's fair schedule threw a wrench into hers and many other students' plans.
I'd have to choose whether to show or go to the first couple days of class.
For decades, the fair ran in late July or early August during summer vacation. But this year it's set for August 19th through the 23rd, when schools and colleges are already back in session.
I want to make a good impression at college, so missing fair would be better to make a good impression at college, but it's also fair where I'm going to be showing with this $5,000+ animal that I paid for, so I want to be able to make my money back on that too.
It's a dilemma for many FFA students and families.
This is not an easy decision. It was not an easy decision for us.
If anyone understands the impact, it's fair director Celine Duarte, who began showing animals at the fair when she was 9. She says the junior livestock shows are a core fair tradition dating back decades.
Well, we had to make the change because our providers were just not available at any other time. During the typical time that we had them before, there's been a shift in many of the other fairs which had pinched us out, and so we didn't have an opportunity except for the dates we have.
After a long day of practice and chores, the students let their animals loose in a larger pen where they kick up dust, run, and play together. Moments of joy in an otherwise structured day.
Either way, it's going to help me because I want to be a large animal vet.
No matter the dates, these students are learning lessons that go far beyond the fairgrounds. Hard work, commitment, and faithfully sticking to schedules, even when the schedule they can't control goes a little haywire.
To help students, the fair is adjusting auction and show times, scheduling them between 4 and 8 p.m. to better fit their schedules. Fair officials say they'll keep looking for ways to support student exhibitors in future years, but for now, hundreds of FFA students really just have to adjust. 1 year after the Palisades and Eaton fires, President Trump says rebuilding isn't happening fast enough, so he signed an executive order that he says will speed up construction. It directs FEMA and the Small Business Administration to make regulations that bypass state and local permits. It also directs federal agencies to expedite certain waivers and approvals. Joy Chen is the executive director of the Eaton Fire Survivors Network. She says there is a bigger problem that needs to be taken on before permits.
7 out of 10 Eaton and Palisades fire survivors are still displaced. We are right now on the cusp of a major homelessness crisis, and people who are going homeless are not rebuilding. We need help on the money front.
And Governor Newsom criticized the executive order. He said the main obstacle is communities not having money to rebuild. And then he asked the president to release the federal disaster aid you're withholding.
For the first time in 3 weeks, we are tracking showers on First Alert Doppler, mainly over the North Bay, but the first showers beginning to make their way into San Francisco. This is light activity, not going to amount to a whole lot, but when we haven't seen rain in 3 weeks, I think we can get. We'll add up how much we expect tonight coming up in the First Alert forecast.
Well, you will be looking for the rain. I will be looking for mountain lions, and we can just sort of converge.
I'll look up. You kind of scan the horizon. And
yes.
Yeah, I'll better
send them your way.
Oh, I'm glad they caught that one.
I know, it's so pretty.
It's a beautiful animal, but that's not what you want to see when you round the corner to go up the stairs to your house or apartment. Let's take a look at what's happening out there this evening. In terms of the rainfall, we are still tracking those showers that are falling mainly over the North Bay right now. This is the current view on First Alert Doppler. You can see the bulk of the green is concentrated over Marin, Sonoma, and Napa counties, but some of that shower activity is now making its way into San Francisco, and it's going to progressively make its way farther and farther to the east as we head through the rest of this evening and overnight tonight. Let's switch over to Futurecast. We'll take you through 10 o'clock this evening as the showers will continue to drop light to occasionally moderate rainfall rates as we go through the evening hours. Grab the umbrella on the way out the door. Not so much for inland portions of the East Bay or the Santa Clara Valley. You're going to have to wait a little bit longer for the shower activity to arrive. But as we go from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., the showers do manage to cross the Oakland Hills, becoming a little more meager as they climb the higher elevations of both the Oakland Hills and the Santa Cruz Mountains. So not a whole lot of measurable rainfall making its way into San Jose. I don't think you're going to top much more than a trace to a couple hundredths of an inch of rain there. And then the showers move out long before the sun comes up on Wednesday morning. What we'll see is fog taking the place of those rain showers early in the day. Let's add up how much rain we expect overall, and the amounts are going to be modest. This is on top of what has already accumulated, which has only been a few hundredths of an inch of rain even for the North Bay. But we're talking about around a tenth of an inch or so, and some spots even missing out on that. Just enough to kind of settle the dust, wash a little pollen out of the air, wash some of that particulate matter, smoke from wood-burning stoves and fireplaces, out of the atmosphere as well. Farther to the south, the amounts will be even more meager. We're talking a few hundredths of an inch of rain, but a lot of places just getting shut out entirely as we head through the rest of tonight. But it is enough with the atmosphere getting stirred around to help to improve our air quality. We had good air quality ratings in the Santa Clara Valley today. Lucky you. Everybody else was in the moderate to unhealthy for sensitive groups category, but we should be in the good category across the entire Bay Area tomorrow. Savor that while it's around, because the dry weather takes back over, and that means that we're going to start to see that haze returning to the horizon as we head through another stretch of dry weather. There is a chance of showers in the forecast on Sunday. It's only about a 30% chance, but it's the only other chance of rain that we're looking at in the long-range data, even over the course of the next couple of weeks. Dog walking weather for tomorrow brought to you by an adoptable bonded pair. Nikki and Coda are adoptable from Lily's Legacy in Petaluma. They're looking for their forever home after their owner sadly passed away. Temperatures are going to reach up into the low 60s during the afternoon. So after a foggy start, we will see the sunshine breaking through and temperatures warming up to a couple degrees above average. Let's track that fog and low cloud cover as we head through the rest of tonight. And once the showers move out, we are going to see the clouds sticking around for the first few hours of daylight on Wednesday. That'll try to put the brakes on the warm up, but once the sun comes up, it's going to go to work trying to dissipate that fog. And we should see a nice amount of sunshine in the afternoon, which will boost those temperatures to, at worst, what's normal for this time of year. So temperatures in the Santa Clara Valley reaching up into the mid-60s, 64 in San Jose, 65 for Morgan Hill, near 60 degrees for most inland parts of the East Bay, mostly low 60s around the Bay, including 60 degrees in San Francisco, right around 60 at the coast, and mostly low 60s for the North Bay as well. Very similar temperatures as we head through the rest of this week and into the upcoming weekend. In fact, warming up by a couple of degrees, mostly low to mid-60s. We'll put that chance of showers in the forecast on Sunday. Still not convinced that we're going to see much more than a trace, a few sprinkles here and there, but it's the only other chance we have. And then we start to warm up a little bit more, temperatures into the mid-60s on a widespread basis by Tuesday of next week.
And you know I like that.
Yes, I would like some rain just because the air quality has been kind of
It hasn't been great.
bothersome. Everybody's kind of been, I mean, it's flu season too, so combination
sick.
of factors.
Everyone's sick. Juliet is somewhere blowing
without a voice.
Germs everywhere.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Paul. We appreciate it. When we come back, we'll visit the celebrations in Oakland as one of the country's most prestigious nursing schools makes its new home downtown. Plus, here's a look at what's ahead on the CBS Evening News.
I'm Katie Weiss in Oxford, Mississippi, where a shelter-in-place order is still in effect to protect people from falling trees and power lines that are succumbing to the weight of a rare ice storm. Tonight on the CBS Evening News.
Now you can get your KPIX news, weather, and live stream all in one place on the CBS News app. Download it free today.
Samuel Merritt University is celebrating its brand new downtown Oakland campus. Today, local officials and school leaders held a ribbon cutting outside of the state-of-the-art building on 12th Street. The Health Sciences University is considered the state's largest nonprofit nursing school, serving 2,500 students and faculty. The new campus has advanced technology, including a simulation lab and a motion analysis research center. The university's president says the campus will strengthen learning and community care.
When the communities care to support an anchor university like SMU, we thrive. We then work all hands on deck to educate thousands of healthcare professionals who in turn provide the care to our diverse communities.
The campus officially opened its doors on January 5th. The CBS Evening News is next on KPIX. Local news continues on our streaming service, CBS News Bay Area. We're back here in just 30 minutes with CBS News Bay Area at 7.